Good evening, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Thursday night, October 9th, 2014. The sun's down in Billerica. It's cool out. Lows is going to be in the 40s, and tomorrow's going to be in the 60s. And I'm now officially 38 years old because I was born on October 9th, 1976 at 7:51 p.m. Some news to report. Sad news in the world of entertainment. Actress, comedian Jan Hooks, famous for being on Saturday Night Live, and she was on a season of Designing Woman, passed away at the age of 57. Her death has not been disclosed. Don't know how she passed away, but details will be forthcoming. Prayers to her family. And also, actress Sarah Jessica Parker has revealed that there'll be a third Sex and the City movie. The first Sex and the City movie came out in 2008. It was a big hit, and there was a sequel to a 2010 that did not good at the box office. And I'm surprised they're doing a third Sex and the City movie, because after the second one I thought they would not do another movie, but I think we'll see what happens with the third one, because if it flops a third time, there's definitely not going to be a fourth movie, in my opinion. And that's about it on that. My third and final video blog of the night is about former professional wrestler Magnum TA. Magnum TA was one of the biggest professional wrestling stars in the 80s. He was on the verge of becoming NWA World Champion into a car accident, nearly ended his life, and his career in pro wrestling was over when that happened. His real name is Terry Wayne Allen, and Terry Allen grew up in Virginia. He was an amateur wrestler in high school, and he got trained to be a professional wrestler by Peter Robinson. He made his debut in 1977, and for the first few years of wrestling, he wrestled in several NWA territories, championship wrestling from Florida, and Portland wrestling. He won the championship wrestling from Florida Global Tag Team Championships 5 times with a number of different partners, including Scott McGee and the American Dream Dusty Rhodes. In mid-1983, Terry Allen went to Mid-South Wrestling, which was run by Bill Watts, and he was rechristened the name Magnum TA because he looked like Magnum PI. And he was pushed to the moon in Mid-South, and he was the protege of Mr. Wrestling No. 2. Mr. Wrestling No. 2 was a masked wrestler. And they were pushing this promo where, like, Mr. Wrestling 2 was, training Magnum TA very tough and stuff like that. Eventually, they became tag team partners, and they won the Mid-South Tag Team Championship. But Mr. Wrestling 2 was continuing to put the bad mouth on Magnum TA, kind of bullied him and stuff like that. And, it got to a head when Mr. Wrestling 2 slapped him in the face. And then he slapped them again. But Magnum didn't want to hit back at all yet. And then Mr. Wrestling 2 left Magnum TA in a tag team match against the Midnight Express one time. And Mr. Wrestling 2 turned on Magnum TA and turned heel. And then they had a classic feud. And this feud, was one of the best feuds in Mid-South history. After that feud, Magnum TA won the North American title a couple of times. And then in late 1984, Magnum TA signed with Jim Crockett Promotions in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Mid-Atlantic area. And he was pushed to the moon in Mid-Atlantic. He won the United States Championship twice. He feuded with Wahoo McDaniels, the Ugandan giant Kamala, and he had a classic feud with Tully Blanchard over the U.S. Championship. That's one of the most famous feuds in wrestling history. Tully Blanchard won the U.S. title from Magnum TA with interference from Baby Doll, and then Magnum TA was trying to get Baby Doll, and Magnum kissed Baby Doll, and the announcer, Jim Crockett, says, "She likes it, she likes it, she likes it." And then Tully Blanchard comes and attacks Magnum TA and stuff like that. And their feud continued on. It culminated at Starrcade 1985 in a steel cage match, I Quit match for the U.S. title between Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard. And this match was one of the best cage matches of all time, in my humble opinion. And then Magnum TA got Tully Blanchard to say, "I quit, I quit, I quit." That match is on several DVDs from the WWE. It's a must-see for all you wrestling fans out there. Anyway, Magnum continued. He continued to be U.S. champion. He wrestled Nature Boy Ric Flair a few times in house shows for the NWA World Championship, and he didn't win the NWA World Championship against Ric Flair house shows because titles don't change hands at house shows. And then Magnum TA in 1986 got into a feud with Nikita Koloff, the Russian Nightmare, for the U.S. Championship. And when they had a contract signing, like, Nikita Koloff attacked Magnum TA, and present was Magnum TA's mother. And then a few weeks later, Magnum TA got mad and stuff like that. The NWA president says that he was fining him $10,000 for unprofessional conduct at the contract signing. And Magnum TA punched the NWA president, Bob Geigel, and Magnum TA was stripped of the NWA U.S. Championship. And then they had a best of 7 series match between Nikita Koloff and Magnum TA for the U.S. Championship. And Nikita Koloff won 4 matches to 3. In this last match, he had interference from Ivan Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev, who's Khrushchev is Barry's Dasso, who eventually became Demolition Smash and the Repo Man, among other gimmicks he had. And then after this, Magnum TA continued to feud with Nikita Koloff, but there was big plans for Magnum TA. He was slated to beat Ric Flair for the NWA World Championship at Starrcade 86. But on a fateful night, on October 14th, 1986, Magnum TA's life changed forever. He got into a serious car accident. He hit a pole, his Porsche was totaled, and he suffered very severe injuries. His wrestling career was over, and his life was in serious danger. Magnum TA suffered a lot of problems in his right side of his body. He was paralyzed temporarily for about 4 months, and he says he was in such great shape that probably saved his life, but his wrestling career was over, and he was in ICU for 30 days, and then he recuperated. Then he made an appearance at the Crockett Cup 1987, and then he appeared on NWH television as an announcer, and he had his own talk show segment called Straight Talk with the Boss. And Magnum TA was only 27 years old when his wrestling career was over, and Magnum TA would have been a great NWA World Champion. I think he was the next guy to take over for Ric Flair as NWA World Champion. He would have had several reigns as the NWA World Champion, and eventually he would have went to the WWE, in my opinion. Eventually he would have went to the WWE. That's where the big money is, and this left a prop, Dusty Rhodes, who was the booker in Jim Crockett Promotions, had to turn Nikita Koloff, who was Magnum TA's hated rival, into a babyface, and that babyface turn was initially pretty good. Koloff faced Ric Flair at Starrcade '86 for the World Championship, but it was a double disqualification. But after a few months, the face turn was like, you know, bland stuff. It wasn't the best face turn at all. But you know, Dusty Rhodes had to do something. We probably, the people didn't want to see Dusty Rhodes face off against Ric Flair for the third straight Starrcade in 1986. That would have damaged JCP a lot. And eventually, like, Magnum TA, like, was on the booking committee for NWA WCW for a while. He would pop up at Legends conventions and stuff, and he's basically out of the pro wrestling business, and he like runs a small hedge company, fund company and stuff like that. He's a born again Christian, and he is married to his former professional wrestling rival Tully Blanchard's ex-wife, and they have a blended family. They have they're raising 7 kids. And that was amazing. Well, that's about it on Magnum TA. And I hope you would get to enjoy these video blogs, Facebook friends, and YouTube followers. I love doing them. They're going to continue for at least 3 a day, maybe 4 or 4 and when there's breaking news and stuff. That is important. I'll be back tomorrow, and one of the subjects I'm going to talk about tomorrow will be the top 10 NFL play-by-play announcers who should win the Pete Rozelle Memorial Award for Broadcasting Excellence for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and there'll be 2 others. I'm not going to reveal them until my final post on Facebook for you Facebook friends. Have a good night, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. See you tomorrow. And don't forget, send me questions. Private message me for questions. I'll answer in a future Q&A video blog in November. I'm not going to make up questions and tell you the answers because I don't do that. And also don't forget that the video blogs are coming for Julie Broughton, Local News 6, Heidi Lee Pratt, Janelle Tobin, Crystal Pisto, Tony Ramos, Steve Patel, Donald Beauregard, Bruce Cronin, and Angelo. Bye-bye, everybody. See you tomorrow.